Hi there, glad you could make it. Welcome to the second part of the Pixar podcast.
Okay, so our next movie is Up. 78-year-old Carl Fredricksen travels to Paradise Falls in his house equipped with balloons, inadvertently taking a young stowaway, and this movie was released in 2009.
This movie is amazing. I will say it now and I'll say it for the rest of my life. I think it deserves the number one spot, no doubt about it. It's so good. In every aspect, it gives you everything. It gives you a little bit of just family, adventure, action, mystery. It's everything you want all in one movie. I mean, what more could you ask for?
I watched Up, I think on an airplane, and I think it was watching it was kind of
How ironic.
was kind of like a fever dream because I was half sleeping, but also, I don't know.
You're watching Up while going up?
That is amazing. That's amazing.
That is truly iconic.
The stars have aligned.
But yeah, I think it was a nice movie. It had a lot of emotional aspects in it.
It did.
And the adventure and everything. And I think it touched a lot of people's hearts. That's why it's popular and people know it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was super emotional, especially right off the bat, you get you just hit with emotion after emotion after. It's so good. And that sequence, spoilers, but when the wife of Carl Fredricksen dies, that whole sequence is so just it's so short, but it's so impactful.
It's so powerful, with just the music too.
Yes, the music, so the soundtrack is amazing, and I mean the whole thing with the balloon and then how it rooted, its roots started in the balloon, and then Carl he made it into something bigger for himself, something to remember his wife by.
I can't say much about this movie, but I remember watching a music video about it back in French class last year, and it was beautiful. I do agree. I felt the emotions.
Yes,
and it made me
did.
very sad. Are you calling me emotionless?
No, I'm glad you felt something.
You're glad?
I never said it's for the first time. I'm just glad that it had an impact on you, like it did on me and Reed.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were all affected by this movie.
Yeah, and I think it just deserves its way, to number one. It's number one.
Number one. Number one.
It's number one. Definitely better than Ratatouille, Incredibles, Toy Story, Cars, especially Finding Nemo too. It's better than all those.
I disagree, but
number one.
Yeah,
I think it's number one.
Come on, that's fun.
You guys are skipping out on my fun fact time, and I do not like it.
Go ahead. Stay on your non-existent Ratatouille toes.
Yeah, I agree.
Fine, Everett. So, according to Mental Floss, the final balloon count was 10,297.
That's a lot of balloons.
It's a lot of balloons.
A lot of plastic. I realized that too.
It was animated, but a lot of plastic.
But if you think about it,
it's
a lot of that.
A waste.
I always wanted to live in that house. I just wanted to go up in the house. It looks like so much fun.
Balloon house.
Just up in the balloons. It's cool.
It's amazing. And as such, I think it deserves number one.
Yeah, me too. I think number one. Come on.
Think about it. I mean, it's we gave you all our reasons. I think it has everything you could ask for in a movie.
I fear these two will verbally attack me. Therefore, I agree that it should be a number one. What do you guys say?
Of course,
number one.
I'm glad we could agree. Mm-hmm. Okay, next one is Inside Out. After young Riley is uprooted from her Midwest life and moved to San Francisco, her emotions, joy, fear, anger, disgust, and sadness conflict on how to best navigate a new city, house, and school. And this was released in 2015.
Okay, Inside Out. I think it was a nice take on the emotions and how everything works in your mind. And I was kind of intrigued by it. I was like, whoa, they're making something out of that. And it's interesting thing that they tried to depict. But Basma, what do you think?
I think that Inside Out is not very good.
I agree.
See, now Everett's the one in the minority.
I think it had potential, but just it was quite boring.
It wasn't boring.
I found it boring.
It was so predictable. Oh, not to mention the main character, Joy. Oh my god, she got on my nerves so many times.
She was annoying.
She was so annoying. We recently rewatched it, or I recently rewatched it in my med science class. Actually, last block, but we recently rewatched it, and Joy. It just reminded me how annoying Joy is. She's so entitled and selfish, Like really, like she abandoned Sadness at one point and was like, "Sorry, you can't come because you're sad, and then Riley needs me more than you." And it was so like she's very detestable.
I think a lot of us just like wanted the crumbs of like the outside world, like the human world. Like I don't know, maybe it was just me, but like maybe I wanted to like know more about like Riley's relationships with like her family and like, you know, I don't know. I feel like I was more intrigued by that than like whatever was going on inside her with the emotions. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I can definitely see that because I think it was more interesting to see how like the emotions would act and then how that would make like Riley act in like
Yeah.
how that would make Riley interact with her world and like her environment. And that was more intriguing, I think.
Yeah. Another thing that I didn't love about the movie, okay, I understand that like the emotions didn't have physical characters, perhaps because she was still a child. However, what I didn't like about the movie itself was like how gloomy like San Francisco was looking. Like I get it, she's sad and she didn't want to move here. I don't know. I just like seeing the gloominess just made it very just boring for me to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
I
I think like the
guess,
environment
yeah.
it could have been more interesting, honestly. And there wasn't like a lot of like variety, I think, in like the outside world or the physical
Even
environment
in
that she
the
was in.
inside world, I feel like they try to make like the sets and like everything really colorful, but it just sometimes felt like a nightmare. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
too much color.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can definitely see that one of my favorite scenes was when they entered when they were trying to get through like to the train via a shortcut and they went into this like tube where it would break them down like to like 2D until they were like become
Oh,
nothing.
that was so unsettling.
It was unsettling, but it was so cool. Like the animation style
sorry.
changed and stuff, and I really liked how that was like done. I think that was my favorite scene overall. I think that just had the most like variety in color and like cool features to it, aspects to it. So I really like that scene. That was
Yeah.
like the one thing that was especially like
It was
memorable.
done well.
It was really cool. Like
Yeah.
it was interesting to watch that scene. Favorite characters? Any ones that stood out to you?
What was his name? Like Bing Bong? Like
Bing
Bong!
Oh my god.
Bing Bong was lovable. I agree.
I
Yeah.
liked it.
Unpopular opinion. When I watched it when I was little, he seemed like kind of a monster to me. Like I don't know, he was scary. I don't know why he was scary. He was just kind of scary.
Fair enough. He does look a little scary. He's like a mix of like a bunch of different things. He's like a
Yeah.
raccoon, an
I
elephant.
guess.
But
But, like,
He
Yes.
also seems desperate
desperate for
for Riley's
attention,
love and compassion and
a
attention.
little obsessive.
I could see that, I guess. But it's also like that childhood of hers coming back,
Mm-hmm.
and that maybe she's been trying to like neglect that childhood,
Yeah, she
forget
did.
about it. But and also just like that ending with Bing Bong like dying, disappearing. That was so sad.
Spoiler. Yeah.
Oh yeah, spoiler. Yeah, that was so sad. Like, come on.
That was
Like,
really
how are you
emotional,
not
yeah.
affected by that?
Yeah, no, it got me angry because Joy was like, she just kind of left him in the back and it was like, oh, I'll try to make Riley remember you, and I don't know, she just felt so disingenuous the whole time.
That's a pattern with Joy, like
Yeah.
just leaving people behind
Also,
for her own
can
gain.
we talk about the fact that Joy is like the only emotion who can feel other emotions? Like she felt sadness, she cried at one point, and then she feels
right.
scared, she feels like disgust, like she feels all of the other emotions, whereas the other emotions are subjected to only feeling like the thing that they can. Like anger can only feel anger, disgust, sadness can only be sad.
They're very, yeah.
But like Joy is the only one who can actually experience other emotions.
I feel like that was a bit inconsistent. Too.
Yeah,
Like maybe they should have had all the emotions go together, perhaps.
exactly.
It's
Like
just
a
like-
journey together and how they
Yeah.
can work together with like
That would have
as
been
one
I feel
unit.
like, yeah, that would have been a better approach to this.
Like
Yeah.
Joy felt like she was kind of the main character when she wasn't really supposed. Like
Yeah, like
If
you're not
she's-
supposed to have one emotion
Yeah.
as your main.
even if it's like, oh, happiness comes from other things, but like still, she can't. Her name is Joy. She's supposed to be Joy.
Yeah.
And that is kind of inconsistent. In
It's a
that
little
sense.
inconsistent, yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't definitely not my favorite on these lists. In fact, it might be my least favorite.
I get that.
So, yeah.
Just one scene that was just absurd and funny. When her boyfriend, like the machine that pumped out her boyfriends,
Oh, yeah.
was just like pumping out like a
Oh
bunch of
my God.
boyfriends.
I would die for Riley.
It was so funny. and then they like stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then they fell and made a
And then
bridge.
Joy, that's how she actually got to sadness, is by making just like standing on top of a bunch of imaginary boyfriends.
That was absurd. It was so funny. So, according to Disney Pixar, long term memory is slightly larger than Taiwan and covers over 14,000 square miles. It holds over 17 billion shelves and has room for 1.2 trillion memories, some of which feature scenes from other Pixar movies, including Up, which is some continuity in the Pixar universe. And Family Island, on the other hand, is described as being approximately the size of Disneyland, which is pretty cool. It's an amusement park.
That
for
is really
families.
cool. I'm just like curious on how they get these numbers, like the shelves thing. Like, do they just make up a number and like make a canon, or like do they
Like how
How
they
do they-
animate it?
I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe they look at like
the mathematics of it?
they look at the mathematics.
That's pretty cool. Wait, actually,
Permutations and combinations, guys.
Oh my god, we have to look into how that works.
how that works? Yeah, that's
Mhm.
actually a really interesting thing because
If-
I know there is some math involved in like animation,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
that would be really interesting to look at.
If any of you are good mathematicians, please let us know how this works
Yes.
because it's interesting to us. Where do we rank it? Number 9.
Last, yeah,
Nine.
last
Nine?
for sure. Like nine, I think
Nine.
for sure.
And if anybody's mad, it's okay.
It's okay. Let us know why.
Come talk to us.
Yeah.
The next movie we have is Coco. Aspiring musician Miguel, confronted with his family's ancestral ban on music, enters the land of the dead to find his great-great-grandfather, a legendary singer. Released in 2017. Coco is beautiful.
I agree.
It
Beautiful, stunning, amazing,
Yeah.
majestic. It's like this, like the art of it is so
Oh my
captivating.
God, yes.
It's so colorful, so
Especially-
vibrant.
Especially the land of the dead.
Yeah.
Like that's where most of the movie is, of
Yeah.
course. It's just like those I forgot those animals, those creatures that are like that have highlighted like
Oh,
I
yes.
don't know what they're called, but it was just
They're bioluminescent. It's like so.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
just beautiful. And like the story so sad.
It's really
But
sad.
I love it. But like I love how like they made like the long lost great grandfather and Miguel come together in this really unusual way
Mhm.
and like show them how well they actually interact and how similar they are.
Yeah, I really like that. His name was Hector, right?
Hector.
Hector. He was one of my favorite characters. He's
Yeah.
so like, he's just so lovable. Honestly, like that's like he's just such a
Oh,
good
right.
character.
I just starting to remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And like I really love just the way they like had like a transition. I remember one of my favorite scenes was like when he first like got transported into the land of the dead, and then he couldn't talk to anyone, and he was just running around. Like Miguel was just running around, being like, "Hello." That was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
It was so
Yeah.
it was so funny. Like it was just great.
It was just like it was like a really vibrant movie, and I obviously love the colors and the story, and I think that they did it and executed it in a really nice way, and just like again like the culture impacts on it, and I liked seeing that in a Pixar movie, you know.
I think so too.
Also, Hector being so lovable like contributed to how much I personally hated Ernesto de la Cruz.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
that monster.
Thief.
Oh god.
That thief, that murderer, the monster of a human being. Well, of a
I guess.
skeleton. So, fun fact according to Hobby Hive, Coco opened in Mexico almost 4 weeks before it opened in the US. It quickly surpassed The Avengers from 2012 as the country's highest grossing film.
I'm not surprised.
Mhm.
It was
Oh.
like I remember when it first was released, like everyone was talking about it.
Where do we rank it?
Okay, so what we have now is we have 2 spots available. We have number 3 and we have number 6.
I want to say 6.
I'm
Six?
thinking 6 because I feel like I don't know. I feel like there could be a better movie. I mean, okay, I'm really upset that it has come down to number 6. I would
Could've
definitely
been
rank
better.
Finding Nemo below it. I wish we could have moved it, but we can't. And I think between 3 and 6, it needs to take
I-
the 6. I'm
yeah, I
sorry, it needs to be
also-
sacrificed.
I know. I also choose 6 with like a heavy heart.
Number 6 with a heavy heart.
So our final movie is Luca. On the Italian Riviera, an unlikely but strong friendship grows between a human being and a sea monster disguised as a human. And this was released in 2021.
Just last year.
So pretty
Yeah.
recent one. But
Have you guys all seen it?
yeah.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
I've seen it in the background. My brother was watching it, but I wasn't paying an incredible amount of attention.
Mm.
Okay.
Well, I will say, for one, it was so amazing. It was so pretty. Like, first of all, like, it was, the animation is through the
Vibrant.
roof. It was
Animation
so cool.
was
And
the-
like the
yeah.
character designs were like also just spot on, and the voice acting was really good. The
Mhm.
setting, the environment, the story was also really heartwarming. Like, especially the relationship between
Luca and Alberto.
Luca and Alberto, and not only that, but Alberto and his like father, quote unquote. But honestly, yeah, just his
Yeah.
father. But like his like adopted father. It was so it was
It
adorable
was so
to see.
heartwarming, and yeah, just like the character dynamics again, where like I think some people may say that the plot of the movie wasn't really that good, but like for me, the character dynamics, it really did that for me.
It
I
really
loved
did,
seeing
yeah.
that, and I love that.
Like, and the transformations between like them as like
The sea
mermen, I
monsters.
guess, or like sea monsters, to humans. That was so like interesting and cool, and how they like incorporated them into different environments, entirely different environments, and how like I like the whole like beginning part where Luca was trying to figure out his way, like how to walk, like how to like do
Mhm.
some things like that, like maniacal tasks like that. It was really cool. It was just like a fun sequence.
It's like, trying to like figure out like simple tasks as like walking, which was refreshing to see, and also just like the way the movie just like the animation just pulled you in right in, and the way that like just like the streets of Italy and everything.
Fun fact. According to BuzzFeed, there are 221 individual controls for Luca's mouth and 223 for Alberto's. So they can move seamlessly with rounded expressions. And this relates to what Sarah said about how the animation was just great, like their expressions and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it shows. It really does.
Yeah,
Like
you could
they
really see
really put
that.
in a lot of effort.
And the idea of like how I think it was treating people differently due to who they are. Is that what?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like
definitely.
it was very interesting because there was a lot of discrimination. Like the humans didn't like the sea monsters because they like just saw them a certain way, and then that's how they were perceived for the rest of their lives. And then kind of subverting those expectations and actually being open minded to new ideas, and knowing that one impression doesn't make a person that thing, that idea. That was really interesting. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That they
Just like
incorporated that.
yeah, and just like another note, like this movie, I think because of that message, really like touched like the LGBTQ plus community, right? I remember it was like really popular, like on TikTok and everything, seeing that, and I think that message of like discrimination, but then at the end, like people, we're all just like one,
Yeah.
right? And then seeing that was like really heartwarming. for
Yeah,
me
the
too.
reconciliation at the end was
Yeah.
extremely amazing. And I mean, this was really surprising, but like two of like the old ladies that we saw like throughout the film that were
Yeah.
humans, that everyone thought were humans, at the end it rained, and then
They
they
were sea
they took down
monsters.
their umbrellas and they were sea monsters all along. It was just a cool like detail.
Amazing. So
So of course, where are we gonna rank it? The last remaining spot,
number 3.
Yeah, number three.
Let's get it.
well deserved. Okay, so our final ranking. About number 1 is Up. Number 2 is Ratatouille. 3 is Luca. 4 is Incredibles. 5, Finding Nemo. We have Coco, Toy Story, Cars, and last but not least, Inside Out.
Inside Out was
I think our
deserving
greatest
the last place.
injustice was
Was Coco.
probably Coco.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the
Coco.
biggest injustice.
It had to be higher, but we can't change it. So
can't change it.
if anybody is outraged, please come see us. We'll have a nice, calm discussion. And yeah,
Let us know what you think.
please come see us, email us on Instagram, DM, whatever you want. Let us know if you want any deep dives of any of these movies or any other podcast ideas you have for us.
Yeah,
Anything
we'll be
that-
open to discussing them. If anyone also like wants to be on the podcast, just let us know. We're also open to having more guests. We had Avreet join us today, so
Yeah.
thanks to
I
Avreet,
was here.
and we had a lot of fun today.
It was great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, and that's a wrap on the Lizard Library Club podcast.